And therefore, to the degree that we can understand this and pass it on, we're fitting into that, what's sometimes called the golden chain in philosophy. Right? Now look here. If that's what it is, then this entire thing becomes a one, doesn't it? A oneness. Now wait a minute. Now can you read 148 and is it clear? Is the whole thing clear? In other words, now you can read it with this in mind, and you can substitute, can you not? And the whole thing should be then? What? Not simple, but you should be able to see through it and seem to see the same relations. In other words, now we can put other terms in here, so long it's a mean analogy, and we can conclude with these three, and we can use this language and talk about it, can we not? That's how they play the game of metaphysics. That's Proclus's elements of theology. Now, let's go back, all right? These terms, suppose for a moment you wanted to say, I would like to know more about this idea of the highest term. What do we really mean by it? Oh, well, you'd open up Proclus. That's proposition 130. He has a whole development of what he means by the highest term. He puts it in an analogy and talks about it. Look here. Unitary potency. That's an interesting idea. Where does he talk about that? 133. You can put these numbers, in other words, you can take the rest of Proclus and see it behind each one of these major terms, and therefore you can go through that doorway and see what he means by each of these terms. That's how he's built. That's how he wrote it. All right? It communicates its unity to the entire order and unifies the whole from above while remaining independent of it. Does he go into that in depth somewhere else? Yes, 125. Therefore, you can take this 148, you see, and you can put in these numbers within it. You can open up Proclus's elements of theology and go into a greater detail and expand it in order to get a clearer idea of these key terms. Look here. Secondly, the mean term, reaching out towards both extremes, links the whole together with itself as mediator, 132. It transmits the bestowals of the first member of its order, 131. Now, notice what I've done in the next paragraph. 130. All right. Let's take a look at what he means by the highest term. All right. If we opened up the book to 130, all right, this is the way he talks about the highest term. In an analogy, an analogical structure that has these qualities, the highest term must be perfect. If it's perfect, it has the following qualities to it. All right? There are three ways in which it can be. It either can be full, right? It can be short of full or in some sense deficient. 3, it can be an overflow. Now, if it's the highest term, and if it's full, then it's unfit for communicating, because to communicate means you can go beyond yourself and share with another. That means if you then are full and you communicate, it's going to drain you. If you're already deficient and you're communicating, it's going to drain you further and therefore make you more imperfect. Therefore, to communicate most fully means there's an overflow, and one never experiences any deficiency as a result of it. It's a natural overflowing. Therefore, the highest term must have the capacity of being overflowing spontaneously, fully that means, and through that overflow there's a communication with those that can participate in it. Therefore, the highest term must have a superabundance. Therefore, diatema, right? must have that teaching in such a way that it can flow out of her. It's no drain. She can do it all night, doesn't bother her. Right? It's a natural overflow, a superabundance. Now, in this game, let's look at the word bestowal. That's a key word, isn't it? Right? Bestowal. Right? Unfortunately, I didn't put it here, but there it is. Transmits the bestowal. Ah, got it. Interesting idea, bestowal. First, it must be full before the bestowal, but what it bestows in Plato, whenever there's a higher and a lower, and there's some communication between them, or participation in it, key word, participation in it, then you can always say something rather interesting about it. Let's see if we can do it together. Now, obviously, this applies on many, many levels, from the highest to the physical. Right. Now, if this is the higher, and this is the lower, now we can talk about this metaphysically, we can talk about it as God, we can talk about it as unity, we can talk about it as intelligence, we can talk about it as soul, we can talk about it soul and body. It doesn't make any difference. The same qualities, the same things can be said about it. Terms may vary, but the relationships are constant. All right, look here. Whatever is the essential nature of the higher becomes the character of the lower. That's all. Therefore, you see, if it transmits the bestowals, it's really transmitting a character. Because a character must be what? When the higher transmits, or through the participation of the lower into the higher, whatever this is, whatever particular quality, not quality, whatever it is in its own nature, through the participation of another, it gains the characteristic, see, the characteristic of the higher. Now, this we can use this. All right, take a look at the next point. All right, I have it here, right there. The divine orders are bound together by mean terms. Shall we? Let's jump up and get a high one and then use another one. All right, let's do that, just to mix it up a bit. All right, okay.
I thought we just agreed that the Diotima was always greater than any of the lower ones.
Oh, yes.
So therefore, Agathon can never, he's always diminishing returns starts coming in.
That's right. That's right. That's why he can't go to Diotima. He can become like Socrates. And then if he's like Socrates, he then has to go the next step and do not only what he has done to become like Socrates, he has to become like what Diotima did to Socrates. Yeah.
Is it just accepted that the higher cannot be drained by the
Yes.
lower?
Yes.
As accepted as dogma?
No, well, yes and no. A dogma, meaning as a teaching, yes, it does it in this way. All right? This is really fundamental, the fundamental principle of all of this, and what makes classical philosophy so different from modern philosophy. The essential, one of the essential differences is the idea of cause and effect. All right. Now, in this system, the cause, this is the cause, all right? Whatever is the cause of something,